Hello everyone, just thought I'd do another Cooking with Denoy episode using the portable chuck box, or chuck station that I created here to be able to cook on the road or while traveling in a hotel room or at a park. It does work off 120 volt power. Oh, this is just a box to carry the cooking ware that I plan on taking with me on my trip, specifically my honeymoon. Anyhow, for today, I'm making breakfast for my son and myself. We've got rice cooking in the rice cooker right now. And to eat with rice, we're going to make some meatballs. So I've got some Italian-style meatballs that I'm going to be coating with Sweet Baby Ray's hickory brown sugar barbecue sauce. So this is really a simple dish to make. All you're going to do is take the meatballs, put it in there, and just put a little bit of barbecue sauce on it and let it heat up and warm up. Meatballs are pretty much cooked. You're just heating it up and heating it up with the barbecue. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright. All I'm going to do is just take the meatballs. I've got the rice cooker hooked up and it's on warm mode right now because it comes on automatically. But what we're going to do is just pour the meatballs in there. I've already used up most of the meatballs, so there's only a little bit of meatballs, but enough for my son and I to have for brunch. And we got the Sweet Baby Ray's that we're just going to squeeze into it. And you don't need that much. I think just a little bit to coat it. So all I'm doing is just coating a little bit onto the meatballs. And that's pretty much it, I think. Maybe a little bit more. So I can coat everything, but I don't need too much too much barbecue sauce in here. I think that's about enough. Just have to coat it. Alright, that's enough. I think I might have went a little crazy there. So then it's a matter of putting the lid on it and setting the rice cooker to high mode. So now both rice cookers are cooking. The rice is cooking. It's been cooking for about 3 to 5 minutes. It'll probably finish in about 10 minutes. By then, the meatballs may be done also. I've started the meatballs a little bit later. I'll probably start them about the same time. I wasn't going to originally make this cooking episode, but thought I would show you how the dual rice cooker system would work. You'd have the rice cooking on one side. You'd have your meat dish or whatever to eat with the rice cooking on the other. So you could be cooking eggs, you could be cooking hamburger, you could be cooking steak, ribs, whatever you would like to eat with your rice on this side and the rice on the other side, so that when rice is done, the other part to eat is done. Basically, you could have a nice meal ready to go in about 15-20 minutes. For those of you who are new to this channel and curious about the rice cookers that I use, these are aroma rice cookers that I think I bought from Walmart. I'm pretty sure I bought them from Walmart. I think they're only like $15, $14.95 each, maybe $19.95. I'm pretty sure $14.95. But these I picked specifically because they only require 300 watts. So running both rice cooker is 600 watts. That means even my 750 watt power inverter that I install on little Blue 2, my minivan camper, can be used to power both rice cookers at the same time if need be, if I wanted to make a meal really quick. Now, in our case with the chuck box that we created here, we are hooking it up directly to 120 volt power, either from the inverter, a hotel room, a park, that has 120 volt access. It's able to power anything electric that we need. So having access to both rice cookers allows me to prepare a complete meal at the same time instead of cooking one and swapping out. You saw me in Little Blue 2, if you've been following, the series. You saw me use the rice cooker inside the van to cook up front. And typically then I only used one rice cooker, but I had both pots. And I would cook the rice first, take that out, set it aside, then I would cook up the meat dish. Then I would serve it to eat. And cooking it like that typically took me about 30 minutes to prepare a meal. because I had to cook two separate things, two separate times. And what I did often was just cook while I was driving somewhere. So, the food would be done when I got to the location where I was going to eat. I would cook the rice first, set it aside, cook the meat, then arrive at my destination and eat. In this case, though, we're just going to let it sit for a little bit. I'll come out and I'll stir this in a bit here with the meatballs. Rice, we don't really need to stir or do anything, but the meatballs are basically just thawing out right now, and we'll stir it up to mix the barbecue sauce all over everything. It's been about 10-15 minutes and the rice cooker has finished cooking because it popped up. So you can see the rice is pretty much done, perfectly cooked. Now, I can unplug the rice cooker, this particular rice cooker, or just leave it in and keep it on warm. It pops up to warm mode. The meatballs, they are warmed up but not fully cooked yet. So what I'm going to do is just stir it up a little bit. And probably let this cook just a little bit longer. This is something that could easily be done. I mean, it's like we're getting pre-cooked meatballs and we're just adding the barbecue sauce. Notice how it coated the meatballs and I didn't use too much. And I guess if you really like barbecue sauce, you could put more in there, but I just needed to coat the meatballs. Don't need it like soaking wet with barbecue sauce. And I think I'll let this heat up, put it back on high and let it heat up for maybe another 5 or 10 more minutes and it should be done and ready to eat. We'll go ahead and do that. This particular rice cooker I am going to unplug and let it start to cool down because it is already cooked. I could leave it on, the warm mode, but it starts to dry out the rice on the bottom of the pan there, the pot. So I'll go ahead and unplug it and let the rice start to cool down a little bit. While this one, I've set it back on high mode. It's on high mode by pushing it down here. And we're just going to let that continue cooking fully. It's been a few more minutes. Thought I would check out the meatballs. See some burnt spots on the meatballs. So at this point I know it's pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and unplug everything and turn it off and go ahead and do our servings. This is our perfectly cooked rice and our meatball with barbecue sauce. I'm going to scoop this up here. Probably make it prettier by not using a spatula. That's what we call it, I guess, a spatula. To the same spatula that grabbed I stirred up the meatballs with, served the rice. So the rice looks all brown from the sauce. Makes it not look as pretty. I guess people are used to white rice looking white and not brown. So, anyhow, there's our rice. Let's go ahead and get a couple meatballs. And this is just how I serve it. It's meatballs, barbecue meatballs with rice. Nothing too fancy. Really simple to make. This is a dish you could make even while you're driving if you have the system hooked up on a inverter cooking system, like inside Little Blue 2. You can actually cook this while you're driving. And it's something that can be done because you don't really have to monitor it. By the way, I don't know I think it's possible, I don't know if it is, to cook rice inside a rice cooker. Some people think that, not a rice cooker, a crock pot. That's something I might need to try. But some people confuse the rice cooker with a crock pot. The difference between a rice cooker and a crock pot is that the crock pot actually uses less power but cooks over a longer period of time. So this rice cooker requires like 300 watts when it's in high mode, and when it's in low mode, it requires about 20, 25 watts. A a slow cooker, on the other hand, I think runs at about 30, 38 watts the whole time. So it stays on that mode, like using about 38 watts or up to 38 watts or so, under 40 watts. So you put your food in it, you put the lid on it, and you just let it cook over hours. Now, those can actually be used in a van to cook as well. And if you get the 12 volt version, you don't have to do any conversion. You just plug it right into the cigarette lighter. If you get the 120 volt version, which to me is a lot more useful because then you can use it inside a hotel room. You could use it at a picnic table, at a park somewhere that has electrical plug-in. But that would allow you to plug it into the cigarette lighter just right off the front console of your vehicle. But you would need a thing called an inverter, okay? And it's a small inverter that's designed to plug into the cigarette lighter. And I think going through the cigarette lighter, you can pull up to 120 watts or so, 100 watts, 120 watts safely, at least for a limited amount of time. Now, those rice cookers, I think, only use about 40 watts or less. So you should be safe getting like a 80 or 100 watt power inverter that plugs into the cigarette lighter to use to cook your food using a slow cooker. I'm going to try cooking with the rice cooker in warm mode to heat things up using one of those plug-in inverters as soon as I get a chance to pick one up. They're generally cheaper than the full-blown ones. They're a lot easier to use because you plug it into the cigarette lighter, and it functions the same otherwise. You won't be able to run the rice cooker in high mode on that system, but we'll see if it can actually cook food or heat food up that you can eat. In the meantime, let's have a taste test. Here we have our white rice with barbecued meatballs, honey barbecue. Nice simple meal, very quick to prepare, and doesn't require much maintenance or cooking. It's more like heating it up. Meatballs are perfect. The barbecue sauce is awesome. Nice and sweet and honeyish. Very, very good. My son's standing here right now salivating, so I better serve him too. Until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you were able to get some ideas and can see the versatility of a system such as this for travel. Until next time, take care, everyone.